Okay, we've taken a little bit different approach with this base. We've just cut the styrofoam out, cut it nice and snug so it fits like that, and then we're going to actually just put our celluclay in our base right on there. So we've got the Grant Lee ready to roll, and we're going to make some, cut out some ruts. We're going to rut this, but I don't want to make a mess, so I'm not going to grind it. I'm going to use a soldering iron that has heated up because I just burned the out of myself. Now this is the same way you can make small arms battle damage with just a finer point. I have an old wood burning one that has a really fine point, and that's how I do small arms battle damage on armor. Have to remember that the tank armor is hardened steel, so it's not going to splash out as much as mild steel would. If any of you guys are shooters, you know what it's like. You know, if you're shooting mild steel, you're going to have great big splashes and great big gouges, but if you're shooting hard stuff like an AR 500 steel, you're just going to get a bullet splash. So you have to be very careful when you're showing battle damage on hardened armor, because a little 30 cal is just going to splash and it'll just leave a little bit of color. A 50 or 20 mil will definitely pockmark the armor. Of course the 30s will, in World War II, the 30s will punch a hole right through sides, you know, non-hardened side skirts and fenders and that kind of stuff. So basically this is what we're going to do. We're just going to go through here and we're just going to melt this down a bit just to make some ruts so that we can show a little bit of sinkage on this. I'll roll in some footage of the actual picture that I've got inspired to, that I see online, of one of these in Lend-Lease format. But this is just as simple as a non-messy way of making ruts. Okay, we're going to use sculptamold on this one, which is basically celluclay with a little bit of plaster or a little bit of hardener in it. It dries quicker and much harder than celluclay. You just mix it up with a little bit of water. You don't need to put any white glue or anything. It mixes up nice and hard and dries pretty quick, much quicker than celluclay. So when you're mixing this stuff, it kind of starts out like oatmeal, a little bit lumpy. So just get in there and whip her up. Don't use too much water on it. Add your water slowly. Okay, so it's fairly stiff, and then spoon and fork and knife and all the rest of the stuff that you stole from the kitchen, then we'll clean up afterwards. Just flop her down. Like I say, I'm putting this on a little bit heavy. You get the general idea. Knife and spoon, and you just smooth it out. Okay, you can see we've got this lead kind of positioned in. Now I'm not going to make it look like it was they spent a whole bunch of time trying to get it out. Basically, it just went in there, went plump. We'll put a couple of logs in afterwards, and ditching beams. But the pictures I have of them, the one is just, it's in there, and that's basically where they stopped. So we're just going to let that. I'm going to carefully pull this out because I do not want this to dry in place. Basically, we're just going to let that go like that, and we'll clean up the little bit that we have on here. We'll clean this up so it's not sticking to the tank, and basically anything else that we have to do afterwards to make it fit in place, we'll just add a little bit of this and then paint it in. But we're going to let this dry right now. So we've left the sculptamold sit overnight. We've mixed up about 70% XF64 and about 30% flat black, and we're just giving it a good dark earth color. This stuff really soaks up paint, so it may take several coats, but get a good thick coat on there, and then you may even want to throw on a little bit of flat on there just to seal it for the next step. Okay, so as you can see here, for whatever reason, this didn't go so well. I'm not sure what happened here. When I put it down into the celluclay originally, it was nice and snug, everything fit really well, and now not so much. So we'll just fix it up. We're going to use some of this to me a diorama texture soil effect, which actually works quite well. And a little bit of this extra heavy gel from Vallejo, which is pretty much turned into a paste. It's kind of over its lifespan, but we're going to fill it in. Basically all we're going to do is take a kind of a paintbrush here. Like I say, this stuff is just about at its wit's end. It's almost like bubble gum. So I got that dug out there. And we're just going to kind of roll that in and use it to fill up the space here, and then we'll roll in. I think what I've got a plan here for this. I'm going to throw a couple of detrenching sticks in there to make it look like they're trying to get it, do something with it. But that's what we're going to plan for that. Always have a backstory. Okay, so I'm really liking the way this has turned out. The Tamiya Soil Effects was quite old and dried out and chunky and really kind of over past its prime. So what I did was use some of this matte medium matte from Liquix. Really good stuff. And I just kind of broke it down a little bit. Used a big wide brush with a little bit of water to smooth out the back portion. But we're just going to leave it because I want this to look not like a fresh stuck, but I want it to look like the mud is dried and that it's been there for a while. So we're going to be adding some figures that we already have made up, and then some grass and reeds to this, and then she's going to be done. And bases are pretty simple, are pretty easy to do. Dioramas can be as simple or as complex as you want. Okay, if you're doing a summer scene, of course you're going to need grasses, and you get a few bags of grass, man. But yeah, there's lots of things you can do. I just happen to have a lot of this German stuff. Heiki, no idea how to pronounce it. I know I'm butchering it, but this stuff here is just stupid expensive. Like this stuff here, original price was $19.99 for a piece 14 by 28 centimeters. I got it on sale for $9.99, and then it was in the 50% off bin. So yeah, nobody's gonna spend 20 bucks on something like that. So yeah, you get it knocked down to at cost. Then we got various little colors of summer grass, some burnt winter grass. These are actually birch seeds, which make really good forest litter. And then of course the army painter stuff, which I really like, but also stupid expensive. I like these little tufts of grass. You can pull them off with tweezers and put them down with a little dab of that glue. Work awesome. And I've got another one of these in yellow kicking around. And then this Heiki wild grass was what you see me use on that diorama. I'll give a shot of it here of the two that I've got finished, just so you have an idea what the winter summer ground works like. And this stuff works really good. It's also from the same German company for low bushes and brushes. So you don't need to have all this stuff, but it does make having a convincing summer scene a lot better. And let me roll in a couple of the dials that I just finished so you can have an idea of what the ground cover turned out like. Okay, so what we're using here is some scenic glue, which dries clear, or dries flat and clear, which is awesome. We're using some of this German matte grass for along here, and then just some various static grasses, and then another one of the same company, Heiki, some German, another German railroad product for shrubberies. So basically we're just putting down the heavy glue. We're laying down the mat, the grass like this in various spots. I just wanted to make it look like it's been overgrown. It's been there for a couple of weeks and looks to be thoroughly planted in the muck. That's what we're going for. Just thoroughly engulfed in muck, like that. So you can see here how the we got various grasses there that I've used throughout. There's that longer wild grass, and then these are the tufts of army painter, and this little shorter stuff here are is the static grass, the summer static grass. So what basically I wanted to show is a tank that's just mired into the muck, and just the Ruskies got it and like, okay, yeah, we're done. And yeah, so basically just using a whole bunch of different types of grass, you get a very realistic and very wild looking scene here. On this side I've shown that it's sunk right, right up to the grass. There's no mud pushed out. And you see that a lot in vehicles that get stuck. This I wanted to show like they pushed up the mud and it got pushed back up and over, and a little bit of track in there. And then this has been there maybe a month or two, and some of the grass and stuff is already starting to grow out. From what I've seen in real life, that this heavy clay and this muck, when it gets pushed out and if it gets dried out, you generally don't get grass growing on it. So it's just kind of in between there, being growing over and whatnot. So as you can see, you just add these little tufts of white little wild flowers, and it just kind of finishes the whole scene off. It gives it a real look of that it's somewhere in the middle of nowhere on the steps, and maybe in a little softer marshy area, and that's what I was going for on this one. And I'll roll in another one here that I just finished as well. Now in this one you can see, kind of say I went for the same thing. This one's set in Mongolia in the early part of the war when the Russians were fighting the Japanese, and the pictures I have were all basically the fighting lasted until May until August. So we're in early summer when it's still kind of greened up before everything browned off and dried off. We've got the army painter tufts of grass here, and then wild grass, and then some of the burnt static grass here. Basically just thrown into give it again, once a steps type area. I didn't yeah, I wanted this to look like it was in a kind of steppes of Mongolia. The grass grew nice in the spring, and then it'll die off come late summer. So I wanted to do this probably June, July-ish, and that's what I was going for. We've got a few little of the yellow flowers there growing, and kind of a half-assed trail here. But yeah, there's a summer outdoor scenes in the steppes are kind of easy to do versus something that's industrial or something that's in the forest. You need to get a lot more detail, whereas in the steppes you can just pretty much paint the dirt, throw some grass on, and you're good to go. Anyway guys, there you have it. Simple diorama basics for ground cover. Thanks for watching. Take care later.